Hi, my name's Daniel Thornton. I'm the Head of Music and Creative Arts here at AC. And this is the introductory video to Worship 301, Practicum in Worship Ministry. This is a very practical, as the title suggests, unit where most of your content won't be in a classroom. It will be on the ground, functioning in some kind of worship capacity, perhaps leading a team or administrating for a team or being a music director. It could be a number of roles that you have, but effectively it will be something related to the worship of a local church. So there is content that you'll engage with, and we'll look through the outcomes and the content and the assessments. But just be aware that a big part of this is you finding that right place to learn on the job, to learn from experience, to learn through those interactions with people, with pastors, with other departments. Can be a lot of fun and games, and can also be a few tears in the process, but I'm sure you'll make it through. Let's talk about the learning outcomes for this unit. The first is analyze pastoral interactions within a worship team. When you talk about working with musicians or singers, you're talking about working with people. They're people, and they have skills and gifts, but they're people. And because they're people, they have people stuff. People don't just divorce the rest of their world when they come into the building of a church. They're in the middle of relational issues or financial stuff or life decisions or who knows, all kinds of different places. Some people are really in a great place in their walk with God, and some people are really stale and dry. So there will be pastoral interactions with the worship team, often not only because of the issues in their own lives, but often because of the standards that are also set within a church for that ministry. So, you might require people in the worship team to not be divorced, or to or not be in the middle of relational issues, or perhaps not have certain addictions, or there could be all kinds of expectations that you have of a team, and inevitably when some of those expectations are challenged, you need to have those pastoral interactions with the team. The second outcome: select administrative tools that best serve the worship team's needs. We're in the technology generation, and there is so much available out there to administrate and facilitate good teamwork and good communication. But because there's a lot out there, you have to make a choice. What's the best one? What's the best one for you? What are the benefits versus the costs? Because often when it comes to software, it's not free. There is free software out there, and is that the road you need to go down, perhaps when you're starting out, or maybe when you've got a small when you're pioneering a church, or you've got a smaller church. And if you've got a larger church, again, there are different companies that are vying for your dollar. So what's the best use of always limited funds to facilitate the worship team doing what it needs to do? The third outcome is assess worship teams as they function in the context of a service. So how do all the parts work together? How does the stage work with the sound desk, work with the lighting, work with service producers, work with leaders and senior pastors? How are all the bits, how do they work with the congregation? How do they work with venue management and venue issues? You're never working in isolation. Worship teams are always working within a larger context, and because of that, there's going to be different challenges in negotiating some of those relationships, how it works, and so you'll be working all that out along the way. Number 4, design and plan an event involving the worship team. So that could be it might be that you're doing this near a Christmas production, or perhaps near Easter, which are the obvious ones. Mother's Day, Father's Day. There's often, or it might just be a worship night, or it might just be a special item that the worship team's doing for a given Sunday. There are so many times where we're not just doing, and I shouldn't say just, but we're not doing the typical Sunday worship, but we're doing something extra, and that's what that learning outcome looks at. Number 5, create original or develop existing material for the worship team's use, either internally or for corporate presentation. So that is about you actually contributing something, I guess, material. It might be chord charts, it might be a roster, it might be vocal warm-ups. Basically, think about your strengths. Think about the best contribution you could make to helping the team that you're working with move forwards, and contribute that. So we will we'll look at, in the content, we'll look at what is the practicum, what do you actually have to do, what are the expectations from AC's side, what should your expectations be, and the churches. Then we'll look at the facets, the many facets of worship ministry. We'll look at leadership and working with leaders. It's a big one. We'll look at pastoring people, administration and management, rehearsals, another really important factor, and done in a myriad of ways, and can be done well and can be done poorly, no matter which way you choose. Rehearsals, services, events, departments and small groups, because often a worship ministry is not only involved in Sundays. The youth might have their own worship team, the kids might be developing their own worship team. So departments and small groups, and finally resources, the training of people, the materials, all of that sort of thing. Oh, budgets, we're going to talk about budgets. Hey, music stuff, worship stuff costs a lot of money. Good lighting, good overhead projection, good sound, it all costs a lot of money. And unless you actually think quite long term about those things, then you can end up saying, oh, we need a new desk tomorrow and it's only going to cost $50,000, and everyone freaks out, which you don't want. So, or you just get everyone offside. So budgets are important to think about. And finally, we will just touch on songwriting and albums. And not every church is going to do an album, but it's definitely worth touching on that subject. I wish that every local church would at least write some of their own songs to capture what it is that God's doing in that local group of believers. So you will have, just pulling up the essays, the assignments. You've got 3 assignments. You've got a major essay, a critical reflection, and the student and supervisor evaluations. So the major essay is about either a pastoral, analysing the process and the outcome of a pastoral interaction within the worship team, or an administrative process. The critical reflection is based on your experience with people and in the environment that you're in. And then finally, the student and supervisor evaluations. So that's partly your work, and of course partly the person that you are doing your practicum under in the local church. Pretty simple stuff, a lot of fun. It allows you to be both a blessing to your local church or the place that you're choosing to interact, whilst you're also learning and growing and gaining a greater appreciation of what those roles require. So enjoy this subject. I hope it's a great blessing to you and to wherever your placement is. And we'll catch you during the semester. Bye.